Oh boy, do we have some Jamal Adams drama. Hey, what's going on? I'm Matt O'Leary back with another video, and today we're going to be talking about the Jamal Adams drama with Adam Gase and Joe Douglas and just going absolutely fire on the New York Jets organization. But before we get started, just wanted to mention that you can follow me on social media at Matt O'Leary NY. Also, if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe to the podcast. New episodes every Monday. You can call in and leave me your questions as well. So Jamal Adams went to the Daily News and gave a ton of juicy quotes. So I'm going to go through some of the main ones and just talk about what it means for the New York Jets and their organization. First, we'll talk about how Jamal went after Adam Gase and what his comments said. He goes, "I don't feel like he's the right leader for this organization to reach the promised land." No argument here. "As a leader, what really bothers me is that he doesn't have a relationship with everybody in the building." That is not really a surprise. He also went on to say that whenever there's an issue with the whole team, he doesn't address it necessarily. He lets another coach do it, which, again, I'm not really surprised about. He really only cares about the offense. He's the head coach of the offense. Greg Williams is the head coach of the defense. The Jets essentially have two head coaches. It's very, very bizarre, but that's essentially how they're running it. And Adams and Gase not having a relationship doesn't really surprise me again. He's not going to really cater to the defensive side of the ball. I'm not saying that's the right way to run an organization. I'm just not saying that I'm surprised to hear about that. Ever since his time in Miami, we know he leans heavy offense. And we've also learned that he's very hit or miss. Guys either love playing for him or they hate playing for him. And it seems like a majority of the extremely talented players, example Jarvis Landry, Kenyon Drake, Ryan Tannehill, Jamal Adams, they don't like playing for the guy. He didn't just go after Adam Gase, and I understand not liking Gase. That you don't have to sell me on that. The Joe Douglas thing was a little bit interesting, and let's get into what I took away from the Joe Douglas part of this story. So initially it looked like Joe Douglas was going to send an offer over to Jamal Adams. It didn't happen in January, didn't happen in February, and by the time May rolled around, he kind of pivoted. And essentially what it went from was, we're going to give him an offer, to we're going to get guys in here, to let's talk about this next year. Now, at the time of the pivot, the Daily News, which is where the story came from, reported that the New York Jets were telling people that they had cash flow restrictions during free agency, which could be an explanation for why they didn't necessarily spend big money and why there was always those one-year deals in the mix. That would kind of explain why Joe Douglas would go from, we want to give him an offer, to pivoting to something completely different. Is it the perfect way to run things as the general manager? No. I would say no. But if you are strapped for cash and your owner's saying, I don't have the money for you to pay him, then you probably have to look at, okay, well, I have to improve this team, so I'm just going to worry about free agency right now and not worry about giving someone who is technically under contract a new deal. Should he probably communicated that better with Jamal? Yes. Do I think Jamal Adams completely overreacted and blew this up way bigger than it necessarily needed to be? Also, yes. This last quote from, it's Jamal talking about what Joe Douglas said, but this last one from Joe Douglas was a hot button issue in the article. So he says, if Jamal keeps acting the way he's acting, nobody is going to want him. I don't necessarily disagree with that quote. A lot of times in the NFL, they don't want people who are going to make noise or be a squeaky wheel or draw attention to themselves or be a distraction. So far this offseason, whether it's justified in your eyes or not, Jamal Adams has been that for the New York Jets. He's created a ton of headlines, some good, some bad, mostly bad this offseason, I'd argue. And he's right. NFL teams aren't necessarily looking to sign up for that. And maybe it's Jamal doing it so that he could force his way out of New York and get to a better team. That's the direction that I lean towards in my takeaway from it. But at the same time, he's also, in my eyes, and kind of Joe Douglas's eyes as well, hurting his chances of another team trading for him because of how he's responded to this. Adams finished off the interview or exclusive comments with the Daily News, however you want to word it, with, I want to win. I want to be with an organization that wants to win and do things the right way. I would argue that from the top down, the New York Jets haven't done things the right way. I don't necessarily put stock into the Johnson family as owners. I don't think they're very good owners. I don't think the head coach is very good. I am a fan of the general manager. I think he has done a mostly good job. I'd argue that in this specific instance, it probably could have been handled a little bit better. But what we're also seeing is that potentially he might not have the money to give Jamal the extension. That's a logical explanation for why things pivoted so quickly. I again all along understood Jamal's frustration. I wish he handled things differently. Even in this instance, I don't necessarily think this helped things. My thing is this. I think he's going to be forced to report to camp, and I think he realized I'm forced to report to camp because he would lose out on too much money if he didn't. Not like the Jets are physically forcing him to show up, but I think he realized that in a lot of fans' eyes, he's been the bad guy throughout all of this, and he kind of wants to save face and say, "All right, well, Adam Gase, none of the fans really like Adam Gase, so let me get him under the bus." And as far as the Douglas stuff, he just wants it to seem like that Jamal does want to be here. He wants to get paid, and he feels like he's been wronged. And to an extent, I guess he was wronged in a sense that, yeah, he probably should have gotten an offer or at least a better explanation. But I don't necessarily completely disagree with the logic of not paying Jamal yet. To be completely honest, that's been my take all along, is that the Jets shouldn't pay Jamal yet. And with everything going on in terms of the pandemic, in terms of potentially not having the money, I don't I don't see why it's an issue that they haven't paid Jamal Adams yet. Where the issue lies is the communication. And if you want to say all along that the communication was bad, okay, I'll give you that. Joe Douglas's communication probably wasn't great, but circumstance-wise, I don't know what else he really could have done. That's it for me in this video. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of all this saga. Is it something that gets Jamal Adams out the door? Is it something that hurts the Jets even more? Who knows? Let me know in the comments down below. Thanks so much for tuning in. Please make sure to subscribe, and I'll talk to you next time.